Was it always meant to be the girl by the tracks, or did you have something else in mind as well?
It was always going to be that title. The original like plot kind of changed a little bit since I had that idea. Like whenever I come up with an idea, I'll put it like on my phone in like that like notebook app or whatever.
Okay,
And so the original idea changed quite a bit since it kind of sat there for a year, but the name itself stayed the same.
that's lovely. And how long have you been writing in general, not just this book?
In general, I've been writing for a little over 2 years, I want to say, because I started writing when I was 15,
That's
and
lovely.
now I'm 17. I'll be 18 in August.
That's lovely, having a book published so young.
Yeah, thanks.
And what was your inspiration behind this book?
Oh gosh.
Long.
So for this book here, by my dad's house or whatever, there's this train. It'll always like go by every hour on the dot. And I saw this train and I thought, sometimes where you just have those like weird thoughts that enter your mind and you're just like, okay, kind of thing. So it was one of those times, and I'm like, okay, what if someone were to stand in front of the train, but but like the person driving the train, the conductor, was the only one who was able to see them. Nobody within the train was able to see them. So everyone's like, why are you stopping, kind of thing. And the whole, like, because the main character, Jess, she's invisible
Okay.
due to a curse. So that whole idea kind of tumbled in there. And there you go, Girl by the Tracks, right?
So, what did you enjoy most about your writing process and writing this book?
Um, I, I honestly I can't like pinpoint one thing. I enjoyed like everything about it. Probably like just getting to know the characters themselves because they're very like different than myself. Like these characters, they have like kind of like rocky pasts. They like change a lot over the course of the novel. Me myself, I'm kind of more like reserved. I'm more of like I don't want to say like shy, but not the most outgoing. So in a sense, like writing from these two perspectives, Jess, who's the main character, and then the guy, the train conductor, who is Jax, switching between their perspectives, it kind of felt like I was different people in a sense. Like it was a little out of my comfort zone, but it was like enjoyable. I loved it. It was really cool.
That's lovely. And what's your process like when you're building these characters? Do you like derive it based off of people you already know, or do you start from scratch completely?
It depends on what it is. Like some characters, like not this book in particular, but like from my other books, some are roughly like or loosely like based on like people I know. But this one in particular, like the main guy, the conductor, Jax, his like persona, a song by Britney Spears actually kind of helped me come up with it. Criminal, because he's an ex-con, so that kind of helped me think of his persona, like in a sense. Oh gosh.
That's
And that
cute.
the main character, Jess, for her, I'm not sure if it's just because I write or if like readers in general find this, but I always hate when I read like cliches because it's like you already know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen,
yeah.
like bad boy, good girl, like all that stuff. So I thought let's kind of change it up a bit. Like let's give this girl like a tude. Let's give her like um not necessarily like I hate when it's like, oh, I'm this way because I had a rough childhood or whatever. Like
Yeah.
kind of give
It
them
is
more
kind
of
of being
like,
one-dimensional, in my opinion.
yeah, like kind of give them more of a reason for why they are the way they are. It could be from their childhood, but maybe their childhood was fine and maybe they just had like trouble making friends or like trouble with like something that kind of led to like how they are. So with her, I found I kind of took the persona of like your typical bad boy in a sense, but I kind of switched it so it would fit her and I made it kind of more three-dimensional so it wasn't as cliche. There was like room for change, and it wasn't the fact necessarily that the guy changed her. It was like her discovering that the change was within herself all along.
That's lovely. And do you have these moments of like getting uninspired with the book? And have you ever put a book on a shelf? Sorry. And
Like to the side?
yeah.
Um, Usually if I start writing something, I like to continue with it because then if I end up starting something else, I know it's not going to get done. And I'm the kind of person I like to kind of do things one thing at a time. If you're into something now and then I switch over, I'm not going to be into it later. So with I find if one of my ideas, if it's not as developed as I'd like it to be, it will sit on like my phone for a little while, which was like what happened with Girl by the Tracks. Like the original idea was instead of her being invisible, she was originally going to be like his dead wife and he was kind of going to be seeing things. But I decided like that's overdone. We can make it a bit more original than that. And everything else just kind of started flowing. But if I didn't let it sit there for as long, it probably would have been harder to write.
True, true. So I saw a video of yours on the Yukioto page, and you said that each book in this trilogy will deal with a different kind of love. So how did you come up with this concept? It's something really different.
So when I was writing book one, this concept didn't come to me till I want to say I was writing, what was it? I want to say it came to me when I was writing like draft one of book three,
Okay.
that the idea itself came to me because I started knowing noticing some similarities amongst them, like just the different kind of love that was like tackled on that. And originally I had like I think 6 chapters of Girl by the Tracks. It was originally up on like Wattpad. And when I had it up on there, I got some girl I met on Wattpad. She was nice and she offered to make like a book cover for it, like to put it on like Wattpad, right? And the book cover, she decided to put, I think it was, I said because for Girl by the Tracks, I wanted it to be kind of similar to Beauty and the Beast in like a few senses, like in the sense that like
Lovely.
you're like it can take two broken people to become complete, and the flaws within people, as ugly as they may appear, as beast like as they may appear, it's how you handle those flaws that's what makes them beautiful, like the beauty and beast within, right?
Yeah.
So I was telling that girl that, and she put on the cover for Wattpad, Beauty and Beast Within. So I'm like, okay. And I looked back to that and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had something like that for each one in the series, since it's going to be a series of 4?
Wow.
So that's where that idea came on. And it's
There are
not
four
like
books.
you're, pardon?
There are 4 books in this series.
4 books in the series, yes.
That's even better.
And it's not like it's like your typical like, oh, friends with benefits or friends to lovers. It's like none of that. Like it's more like kind of different kinds of love. Like you're thinking like real like deep about it. Like it's usually things that people won't like think about or maybe even like associate with love.
Okay. So when we were talking earlier over mail, you mentioned something, you touched on it a little bit, like the symbolism and the theme of the books. So do you want to talk a little more about that?
Okay. Oh gosh. uh, so for this book in particular, so there are themes in it, like I touched on, like this one, it touches on like your flaws, like how you can utilize that to show like your beauty within. A huge theme throughout it is self-love, because throughout it, like characters, like something will happen, and if they don't end up with the person, like it's a romance, so there's obviously going to be a love interest or multiple love interests. If they don't end up with the person you think they'll end up with or don't end up with anyone at all, the whole point is like at the end of the day, before you can love anyone else, you got to be able to love yourself first. So I like to put the idea of like self-love throughout this whole series. There's also the idea of you can be broken, but you're still beautiful. Like there's all these different ideas you can touch on, like even the way you were brought up or your past, it doesn't define who you are. How you are now in the present moment, like as a person, that is what identifies you. Like different things like that. As the symbolism goes, there's the symbol of the rose that I like to keep throughout. At first, it was just meant for like the beauty and the beast whole aspect to it, but
Okay.
it's so much more. It was in the first book, and then I kind of put it like in the others. May it be like in the first book, I mean, like you'll see it in like different metaphors and stuff. but then you'll see it like more and more, maybe in someone's like tattoo or like pillow embroidered, like it's all over the place. And I'm not going to say what the rose symbolizes, but if you can kind of think of Beauty and the Beast, there's thorns on the rose, there's leaves, there's the petals themselves. So I'm sure you can kind of interpret that a little bit on your own, right?
Yeah.
And it foreshadows some events as well throughout it.
So are you gonna include more of those little Easter eggs in the rest of the books?
The like rose itself for like
No, like
symbols
other
or
symbols.
yeah, like the rose it's throughout like all four books. Like you'll see it like everywhere. So yeah, there are things like that, or even like some characters, like I'm not gonna try to give too much away. Some can
Okay.
like see certain events before they happen or whatever. So there's like things like that. Even some comparisons, like give little things away. You got to kind of read between the lines. That's
That,
what I found was different between this series and the one I wrote before. Is that one, I don't want to say it was predictable, but it was kind of, there wasn't like symbolism and stuff. This one, you got to read more in between the lines to kind of, and you can predict things too if you can like read like that, if you get what I mean.
but that's also an interesting thing. When you've been writing for a while and you look back on your old work, you see how far you've come, like how much you've improved.
Yeah, for sure. I noticed that completely.
So what can we expect from book two?
Oh
Can you tell us
gosh.
anything about that?
Okay, for sure. I'm gonna try not to give too much away.
Yeah.
I'll discuss more of like the main idea of it. Characters, maybe a little bit. Um, so for book two, so book one, it's the Beauty and Beast Within. Book
Okay.
two, it's gonna be called Boy by the Plate. Again, what I like to do is each title of the book. Some of the titles, someone might be like, what's this about? The title sounds funny. Each title has symbolism within it itself. And in the last chapter, like the character will kind of like reflect on their journey and it's revealed what the title itself means. Like each word in the title is like a symbol itself. So like Girl by the Tracks, like you can kind of figure out like what a girl symbolizes, the tracks, the train. This one, you can kind of assume it touches a little bit on baseball, but not like a lot that you need to know the sport, just enough for like the symbolism aspect to it. And because the main guy, he like plays that on his high school team. So in this book, it is Love the Unexpected, which will be the thing on like the front or whatever.
On the
Because
top.
each one, it's like my love tetralogy. So it's like a different kind of love in each book. But I love the unexpected. This one, I decided to take a cliche and made like tear it apart pretty much. So when you think something is about to happen that's similar to a cliche, it's not gonna like for example with this one. So I'm not going to give much away, but it's already revealed in book one, like first chapter, that Jess has a son. Who the father is, you'll have to read that to figure that out. But she has a son. His name's Zane. So in this book, it's his story. So he's in high school or whatever. So focuses on like a while after because in book one he's 4, so it's like a long time after.
Okay.
And he sees this girl he likes or whatever. Um, but she's popular, she's whatever, she's never gonna notice him. Again, it sounds like a cliche, trust me, it's not. So but he has a best friend that's a girl and she's had eyes for him for a while, but he hasn't seen it. You don't know if he feels that way, you don't know what's going on. So let's just say, I'm going to try not to give too much away. Um, this is hard. Oh gosh. So
Okay.
let's just say something happens between him and the girl he likes. She notices him for the first time. Obviously, that's going to shift his friendship with the girl that likes him, his best friend. It's going to shift it big time. But what happens if while he's seeing this popular girl or whatever, let's say they go to a party and something happens between them or whatever, and he has his own issues or whatever that I'm not going to reveal, but he handles everything really poorly. And in this, their friendship gets torn apart, and it's kind of like, are they going to be friends again? Could there be something more? Did this girl end it all? And what's cool about it is you don't know who they're going to end up with, because his cousin, who's a year older and also plays baseball, has eyes for his best friend. And so he's trying to go after her while this guy regrets what he did. And as this is going on, the popular girl's there as well. And then he has another love interest. So it's all like chaotic. So you don't know what's going to happen. Hence the title, Love the Unexpected, right? Just when you think you know what's going to happen, the characters themselves, it's not going to go the way you plan at all.
Okay, so are you working on it already? Is it done?
This one in particular, like the first draft, I like to write, I'll do the first draft first, and then I like to do the first draft of like most of them in the series, and then I'll go back, and while that draft's done or in the progress, I'll edit the other one. Like I like to do some personal edits first, meaning like sometimes I'll notice like some plot inconsistencies, like maybe the chair was green in one scene and it's blue in another or something, or just some like grammar things or things I'd like to fix up, and I'll do that twice. So right now, for Boy by the Plate, I'm in the progress of doing like some personal edits on it, and then the other ones are in drafting at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah.
So, do you have any ideas besides the series that you've got going on?
So there's this series, and then I have other ideas. Like right now, they're just on my notepad because they're vague or they're just kind of for the time being. But yeah, I do have some other ones. There's one in mind. I want to do another duology, different from the 30-day exchange, like separate. And then there was even another idea I had. I'm not going to go too much into the duology as it's very like vague right now, the ideas.
Can you tell
But
us a little about it?
yeah, okay, sure. I guess I can go into a little bit about it. Um, well, usually I'll write things in first person. With this, I thought it'd be cool if a lot of authors don't write in second person. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to do it. That the person telling the story isn't the main character, but someone who has kind of witnessed it all in a sense, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't see a
So
lot of authors doing that.
no, like you see it very rarely. Like I'm the kind of person, I don't like to read things that have been done so much or like cliches. I like to get a little out of the box. So I thought it'd be cool in that sense. Like even with this one in particular, I don't know why I just love doing this with books. I always find like with you can do so much like with children. Like even with the 30-day exchange, like it was like children being exchanged at birth, like store like items. This one here, I was thinking, I always like taking cliches, tearing them apart in a sense. So it's
Kind of
book
like
one,
rewriting them.
pardon?
Kind of like rewriting the cliches in your own way.
In your own way so that it's still an original story in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Like this one here, I was even thinking, like, there's been so many like books on teen pregnancy and like all that, like guy will leave the girl, like all that, like it's been overdone.
Yeah.
So I thought a cool idea would be, so what if this girl, like she's emotionally abused at home, like it's a very bad atmosphere, and what ends up happening is she's with a guy and she got pregnant or whatever. But what ends up happening is the guy wants no part in it. He's like a complete douchebag, and she can't tell, her mom passed away when she was young. She can't tell her dad because she knows he's going to be like really mad. So she has to figure out what to do about this. So she's going to try to like hide the pregnancy while her close friend, who's a guy, offers, my parents aren't as bad. They're not as bad at home. I'll just pretend I got my girlfriend pregnant.
Okay.
So she'll have the baby, and then he'll be raising this kid pretending it's his. So it's like original in that sense, right? And the person who will be telling this is her sister.
Okay.
And in book two, her sister's story will be focused on. So it's kind of like that. So it's like she's telling her story, her sister's story, and now it's like it's time for my story in that sense.
That's a nice idea. That's nice.
Yeah.
I hope you go through with it.
Yeah, I think I will. Like ideas are starting to tumble for it, but I'm so focused on like the love tetralogy that I don't think that's gonna happen for a little while. But yeah, thanks.
So, do you have this thing? I know a lot of writers, when they feel uninspired with one book or they're blocked, they'll work on their other books. Do you do that?
I like to work on like one book at a time. Even there might be times that like I take longer to write because I'm not the kind of person I won't outline my whole thing beforehand. Just like maybe some main ideas, some main quotes of inspiration, songs that kind of helped or whatever. Um, but oh gosh, I forgot my train of thought here. Oh gosh. Oh goodness. But like I won't have it planned out scene by scene. So there will be some times that like I'm like, what's gonna happen here? But that's where I find music comes in to help. Like I'll listen to music as I write. Like it'll be like one song on repeat for like the entire chapter, or sometimes like two if like the mood kind of switches throughout. The song kind of reflects the theme. So I find that helps me a little bit in that sense. But I always find people they'll always tell me about, oh my gosh, I'm facing writer's block or whatever, or I'm not feeling very inspired. In my opinion, I don't believe in writer's block. Like, I feel as if you can continue writing no matter what. Like, your imagination's always flowing. You just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. You just kind of have to try your best to not, this might sound stupid, but not think about it. Like, just write, just like have fun with it. You got into writing in the first place to escape reality, find your true voice, enjoy it. So, you may as well just put it down, and even if it doesn't sound the greatest, that's what drafting is for. You can always go back and you can reword it a little bit.
Yeah. So, Julia, this is my last question for you. Do you have any advice for aspiring authors?
Oh wow. Okay, as advice goes for aspiring authors, if you have a passion for writing, like keep doing it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Like even when I first started writing, like I was part of a school book club. And although how great it was to be able to like read my stuff in front of other people who also like wrote their own stuff, I always found I'd get all this constructive criticism that I didn't know what to do with half the time. And I found it weighed me down. There'd be sometimes I wouldn't even want to write because I'm like, it sounds awful. It's whatever. Um, but at the same time, this is how I think constructive criticism, it's meant to help you. It's meant to help you and your work improve, and you can take as you wish. You don't have to go with everything they're saying. If there's something you don't agree with, you don't have to take it. At the end of the day, I wish someone told me this sooner. You're in you're the author, you're the writer.
Yeah.
You're the one who has to be happy with it at the end of the day. The right audience will eventually find you, find it. So just make it everything you imagine, and don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to even pursue the passion to begin with. Although it might be hard, it might be a tedious journey. Like even before I got published, I tried to get a different book of mine published, trilogy, a series of three that I'll have to do some work on because the writing's so different than my writing is now. It's really, it's not the greatest, which is probably why. Like I tried reaching out to different publishers, got like 6 rejections or like something ridiculous, which kind of brought me down. But at the same time, I find like you got to use stuff like that. You got rejected this many times, there'll be something good happening in the future. I find with writing, you always got to try to look at the positive end of things, and good things did happen. Like you gotta look at the positive end, and if you have a passion, go for it. The journey is going to be tedious, it's going to be rough, you're going to feel useless at sometimes, but do what you love. If you love writing, just go for it, enjoy. And I also find with writing, like what I say, I always like to put in these themes and stuff that I hope will inspire others. In my way, I feel as if writers, like it's our way of shaping the world in a sense, shaping people's beliefs, their thoughts towards certain things. So make your difference, make your print, even if it's like through writing. There you go. That's great.
That's lovely advice. Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Julia. It was lovely talking to you.
Oh, it was lovely talking to you as well.
Good luck with your with your series, and I hope you go through with those the other duology as well of yours.
Oh, for sure. Thank you.
It was lovely talking to you. Bye.
Nice talking to you as well. Bye. See you.
Bye.